Hi there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a little workshop on squat mechanics. Very important to get this movement right. Now, if you are restricted and have issues with some mobility, you will have a difficult time recruiting and moving through this movement correctly. So I would encourage doing some mobility work and training. Well, on top, I'm not saying before, but it'll be a nice compliment in being able to open up your body in a way that it starts to be able to move that way naturally. Now, when I say naturally, it's because when we're born and we're little toddlers, and if you watch the kids, if you have kids at that age group, they can squat like nobody else's business. But we lose that ability over time because, well, we either become sedentary and the fact that we sit all of the time. So anyway, I want to focus on the foundation of a squat and proper mechanics, not talk about loading them or various foot positions, just a standard squat, okay? So again, we cover key points, setup, execution. That's the recipe to success here at Hybrid Strong. Knowing your key points, how to set those up, and then executing, okay? So that you're doing it correctly and doing it safely, especially the squat. A lot of people over time wonder why their knees are starting to bother them. You can apply that to a lunge too because the weight bearing is going all into the toes instead of back, more than 2/3 of the foot back into the heel. So we'll cover that in detail in this video. So key points, posture, posture, posture. So if you imagine your head here, okay, here, and then the rest is your spine. If you're leaning quite a bit through your movement, you're going to transfer that energy and that weight into those toes rather back more into those heels. So you'll be hurting the joint capsule of your knee, loading the front end of your quads rather than recruiting the bigger muscles through your glutes and your hamstrings, which are the powerful recruitment of those hips, okay? So again, if you're restricted, you're going to have difficulty bringing yourself back at an angle that is more conducive to keeping the weight back, okay? So everything follows that head. So if you're dropping your head forward and your chin, things are going to follow. Keep a nice neutral head and neck and a nice neutral spine, okay? So from the side, we're going to start some key points. Hips, if you're a hockey player, you're hip checking, okay? Otherwise, if you're not a hockey player, we all know how to sit in a chair. If you go to sit in the chair and you're going forward on your knees, you're going to miss that chair. You want to send the hips back so you hit the seat pan of that chair, okay? So roughly, your foot position will be just outside of shoulder width. Your toes will be pretty much straight. They can be turned down a little bit, okay? Again, we're talking about standard squat. Now, in order to keep a nice straight spine instead of leaning forward, I'm driving the hips back, head nice and neutral, chin. I keep my arms up here when I'm doing a bodyweight squat or sometimes here to ensure that I get that spine in a nice straight manner, okay? If you get a full range of motion, that 90 degrees, that's what you want ultimately. Full range of motion, full recruitment. Extending through the hips is a key point. That's what you're driving. That's what the hips' responsibility is to extend the body. Glute squeeze at the top, okay? So looking at it from the front, the other key point is before you do your squat, screw your feet into the floor. Do a little shimmy. Feel like you're screwing your feet into the ground. That creates a nice torque in the hip socket where that ball inserts into that capsule of the hip. Creates a nice torque and stability. The other key point is as you're squatting, you're driving the knees outward. Outward, okay? Feet are screwed into the ground, driving the knees out, coming up, extending through the hips, glute squeeze, driving the knees out. And if you do this with a mini band, you will feel that cue of pushing out against versus letting the knees drop in, okay? So feet are screwed into the ground, chin tall, shoulders back, driving the knees out, extending through the hips, squeeze the glutes and exhale with the exertion on the way up. Proper mechanics equals great success, especially in the squat.